Good morning, everybody. Today is June 30th, 2020. I was almost going to say this was going to be a short video, but I don't know if that's the case. Might be a bit on the longer side. The purpose of today's video, I got an email from an affiliate owner who was saying he was struggling with his clients over the issue of a deload week and whether a deload week was necessary or unnecessary. He was of the mindset that it was not necessary, but he was having just a generally tough time trying to convince or articulate to his clientele why that would be the case. And so I thought that was a great topic. He asked if I'd chat about it, and so here we go. I've been up at it for a bit with my coffee here, and I've got some notes written down because it is an interesting topic. I want to make sure that I kind of stay on track and hit some of the points that I want to. So, anyway, here we go. To have a deload week or not to have a deload week. So, first of all, for anyone unfamiliar with it, a deload week is, generally speaking, you intentionally reduce the volume of your training for a week and the intensity of your training for a week. And the hope in doing that is that this reduction of volume and this reduction of intensity will lead to improved recovery. And if you get improved recovery, that will eventually lead to improved performance. You'll feel better in the gym and life will be good. Again, an oversimplification, but that will generally give you the point of why some folks like deload weeks, feel they're necessary, and want to work them into training. And another oversimplification of just how we try to improve as athletes is our body is just a system. We stress the system through movements, through loadings, through intensity, through repetitions. Then we allow the system to recover, and then we hope that you respond to that stimulus in the recovery and you come back better and you improve. And again, that's the path we hope to just continue doing and excel, excel, excel. A typical deload week would happen about once a month. And this is, people have different theories on precisely how to do it. So, in general, once a month, and in general, you would be working with around 50% of your one rep max. Some people might feel a little lower than that. Some people might say a little higher, but generally around 50% of your one rep max. You're going to take it a bit easy and you're going to focus on getting in some good mobility. So that's generally that. Now, I let the cat out of the bag right away. For the overwhelming majority of the CrossFit population, which is who I address on a regular basis. I don't address people who are specifically dedicated, your world revolves around powerlifting. You're specifically dedicated Olympic lifters, and that's what you do. I speak to GPP, general physical preparedness, intensity over volume, one workout a day, embracing variance, again, the CrossFit community. For that huge mass of people, it is my personal belief, professional belief, and all the experience I've had in this community has led me to believe that it is not necessary, a deload week, for the overwhelming majority of people doing CrossFit. If you are doing a few key things and you're following good, well-rounded programming, and we'll get to that in a second, but I'll let the cat out of the bag right there. With that being said, I do think there are some people in some communities that absolutely would benefit from a deload week. It's just not something that I do because I'm not a member of one of those specific communities, and it could be like I mentioned before. You are a dedicated lifter, boom, period, end of story. You are a competitor, like a serious CrossFit competitor, going for it, trying to get on the podium, trying to be somebody that I'm going to see on some sort of broadcast or on media or whatnot, somebody very high on the leaderboard. Yes, you're, by that very pursuit, exposing yourself voluntarily to a significantly higher level of volume, loading, and a whole bunch of other stimuluses that most of us, one workout a day, people living our regular lives, playing with our kids and going to work, don't need to do, don't want to do, and we're not doing. So that community, the competitor community, yeah, I see a lot of value there, and I think that they probably need to do that. and again, lifters. Now, another potential group that might need that is maybe the hybrid sort of people, the people who are doing CrossFit training every day, and maybe they think that they're a one workout a day kind of person, but they're really not, because they're impatient. And I don't know if that's a fair word to say, but they want to get some results and they want to get them a little quicker, so they say, okay, I'm going to do my local gym's CrossFit training, but then unbeknownst to everybody in my basement every night, I'm doing a 5-3-1 lifting cycle or some sort of other just linear strength progression. So you're doing extra lifting, extra stress to your body, extra stimulus in which you are, increasing the demands on top of what everyone else thinks that you're doing that day. Yeah, there's a really good chance that if you're doing that, that you will need a deload week every now and then again, because you are going above and beyond. If you have somebody that you trust programming, what they think they're working in for a nice natural cycle, some higher intensity days, some lower intensity days, some rest periods every now and then, well, you're kind of messing up that secret sauce a little bit. So if you are doing that, and there's no judgment there, you're working out, do whatever the heck you want to do. It doesn't bother me. But yes, you may need to go ahead and give yourself a deload every now and then for something like that. I would also say, without going down a rabbit hole, that it has been my personal experience. I've spoken to countless folks who have done that. And again, the person that I envision when I see them doing their regular CrossFit workouts and they've added in 5-3-1 or something like that, they're not a serious competitor. They're doing that because they feel that that is what they need to do to get better overall. And I will tell you that it has been my experience most of the time that is not how it shakes out. They don't have their increased overall fitness from this extra time under the barbell. And if they were just patient, I believe they would have gotten the results that they wanted to with what the goal is: less strain in your body, and then actually staying with the cycle that whoever it is that's programming for you that you trust has worked in recovery, high days, low days, and you will be good to go. So if you are adding a little something to that, then yes, you are you're mixing with it a little bit. And I've seen far too many people, it's potentially too much, unnecessary, and potentially injurious for some folks, because CrossFit competitors or elite athletes, nobody likes to say that somebody's better than somebody else, but there are some human beings walking around in this earth, and those are the people that we generally see on TV or on broadcast or making headlines about their physical prowess and accomplishments. They are a little bit better than the average bear walking around. I happen to be married to one. My wife went to the games twice as an individual, finished as high as 13th, was a full scholarship D1 college gymnast at the University of Washington. She's just made up of different genetic material than I am, and most people that I know are. Like, she can handle more of everything, and it doesn't appear to wear her down or break her down. That's not how it is for most people. So just be smart, be intelligent with what you're doing, and if you need a little extra rest, do it. So anyway, it is my opinion, my experience, that a well-designed GPP program, General Physical Preparedness Program, will have you cycling through, loading, rep ranges, movements, time domains, and by doing this also vary the intensity that the athlete is exposed to. And if the programmer that you have entrusted your fitness with knows what they're doing, I've seen this for 15 years, you'll be able to do this and just progress month after month, year after year, without a specifically pre-programmed deload week in there, because you'll be getting the recovery that you need as just part of the daily programming, the weekly programming, and the monthly programming. And that's why this is potential rabbit hole number one I'm trying to navigate right now. that's why potentially one of the stereotypes, the inappropriate stereotypes of CrossFit is not only erroneous, but could lead to, I don't know, why somebody might feel that they need a deload week. Because when I first got into CrossFit back in 2005, and I didn't know much about it at all, it was brand new. And what I thought CrossFit was you walk into the gym every day and you just set yourself on fire. If you are not laying in a pool of just sweat, shaking and trembling, non-communicative, hyperventilating, can't speak, legs are jiggling and they don't work at all, then you didn't do the workout right. That was a very naive, inaccurate, uneducated, unsophisticated view of the CrossFit methodology that I had 15 years ago. And luckily my experience base has evolved since then. If that is still how you view doing CrossFit, then yeah, that doesn't sound very sustainable to me. And you're going to bump into some sort of a wall of exhaustion, and you're going to wonder, why in the heck didn't we have a deload week? Well, what you were doing wasn't really how it was supposed to be done. Here's the deal. Critical part of the CrossFit methodology is intensity. And again, here, the long line that they say at the level 1 and in the journal, which is totally true, that intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with maximizing the rate of return of favorable adaptation. I know that sounds like a mouthful. Intensity is the good stuff. Intensity is the secret sauce. Intensity is what gets us fitter faster, increases loading on the barbell, decreases your Helen time, whatever it happens to be. Better body composition. You will achieve these goals quicker by pursuing them with intensity than by not pursuing them with intensity. So intensity is critical. But high intensity every single solitary day is also unsustainable. So there's the quandary, right? Intensity is key, intensity is not sustainable. And so we have to find a way to weave it into our training, be it through you intentionally doing it because you're tuned in to what the intent of the workout is, you know how to program, you can listen to your body, or you've entrusted what you're doing to somebody who knows what they're doing and will cycle all of this through for you. But one way or another, it has to happen, or most people are going to crash and burn because they just can't do that every single solitary day. Let's take this week as just kind of an example, all right? And so today is Tuesday, June 30th. So yesterday at Linchpin, we had 3x800 meter runs, okay? Resting at least 3 minutes between each. Do a nice warm-up, 3 800 meter runs, and then cool down, go home. Now, don't get me wrong. An 800 meter run is not a pleasant experience. It's highly unpleasant. However, it's let's say a 3-minute duration, okay, a 3-minute effort. While that is relatively high intensity, it's nowhere near as high of an intensity sort of a session if instead of having 3 800 meter runs on the docket, we had 10 100 meter runs on the docket. Both are sprint days, but they're very, very different sprint days. And on yesterday's training, yeah, we have optional accessory work, and I always say that it is optional, and you do not need to do it to be fit. So if you just walked into the gym, warmed up, you did 3 800 meter repeats, and you went home, you would feel like I feel today, because that's exactly what I did. I didn't do any accessory work. I didn't do anything yesterday. I don't feel beat up. I don't feel tired because I didn't be like, well, I only did 3 800 meter runs, so I've got to get in some kind of a lift. I've got to get in some kind of extra this. I've got to do something else because that wasn't enough training. I don't feel just like a pile of goo laying on the floor. Well, if you're still under that mindset and you do that to yourself every day, yeah, there's a wall that you're going to crash into. But you should have training days that are appropriately challenging. And appropriately challenging means that they cycle through all those points of variance that I just mentioned so that it is sustainable for the long term for the athlete. And if every now and then you feel like, yeah, I could do a little something extra today, I would encourage most people to resist that. Resist it. Because there will be days, if your programmer knows what they're doing, that you just empty the tank. And what allows you to empty the tank on those days is those other days that you felt like you could have done a little something extra, but you didn't. So we're not just beating the stuffing out of you every single day unnecessarily. It's unnecessary, it's inappropriate, it's not what drives long term health and fitness, and it won't leave anything for those days that are high intensity just crushers, which are also necessary for long term health and fitness and maximizing your goals. So that was yesterday, 3 800-meter repeats. Oh, effective, not popular, right? Today on Linchpin, we have a 30-minute EMOM. It's one clean and jerk every minute for 30 minutes. And, it's a wonderful free country. Use whatever loading you want to use. But I have recommended on the site to use 60 to 70% of your 1 rep max. So let's say you embrace that 60% of your 1 rep max. That's far away from 100%, right? So it's not this maximal lift every single minute on the minute. It is a nice loading that's sustainable. You're going to get it in on the minute. You're going to do it for 30 reps. And 70% obviously would be a little bit heavier than that. But again, it's not a maximal crazy kind of a day because we want to cycle the athlete through various time domains, through various intensities, and through various loadings so that when that day does come, that it's not, hey, take 60 to 70% of your 1 rep max. Today's workout is a 7x1 clean and jerk where you might set a new personal best and you're going to try to get as much loading under the barbell as you can. You'll be ready for that day because we allowed you to be prepared both physically and mentally for when that day comes that you can bring it. If every single day was like that, again, it's not sustainable for most people unless they're a cyborg, and most people I know are not cyborgs. So it's Monday. Sunday was obviously a rest day, so we had a rest day. Then Monday was the 3x800-meter repeats. Today, Tuesday, is the every minute on the minute, 1 clean and jerk at 60 to 70% of your 1 rep max. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which Wednesday's workout is not released yet, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is right now because it just helps talk to this point of deload week and intelligent training. Tomorrow's workout is Tabata this. So Tabata this is, a Tabata interval is 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. You do that 8 times, so it takes 4 minutes. Again, 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, 8 times in a row, takes 4 minutes. So you do a Tabata interval on the rower, a Tabata interval of the air squat, of the pull-up, of the push-up, and of the sit-up. Very short time domain, very high intensity. So again, just take a look at the 3 days that we've had right now. Monday, 800-meter runs, 3-minute time domains or whatnot. Moderate intensity, let's say that, moderate to moderately high, depending upon how you went. Tuesday, potentially ratcheting it down to 60% or so of your 1 rep max clean and jerk on the minute. Now Wednesday, we're going to have a high intensity, a specifically high intensity day, and we haven't gone below parallel yet. Didn't go below parallel on Monday, and depending upon your loading on the EMOM clean and jerk, but if you're around 60-65% of your 1 rep max, there's a good chance that you're not going below parallel to receive that. You're good to go. And now on Wednesday, not a barbell in sight, wonderful variance, short, very short time domain, very high intensity day. And the overwhelming majority of athletes should be prepared and set up for success to feel good on tomorrow's workout because of what we've done for the last 3 or 4 days. So Sunday was a rest day, Monday the sprints, Tuesday the lifting, Wednesday Tabata this, and then Thursday will be a rest day. And again, rest days are absolutely critical. And another part into this deload discussion where somehow, and I don't know where it happened, it became this badge of honor, or some people, I don't want to put words in people's mouth, but it appeared to be tough or extra whatever. Like, I don't take rest days. I ran a 5K on my rest day, did some light overhead squats. People are basically working out on their rest days. That's not a rest day. Now, if you go in and you just move around a little bit and then you do 30 minutes of mobility, great, that's fantastic. And the caveat should be said, to each their own, right? So if some people actually perform better for months, years, and decades by doing something that seems to be too much on a rest day, but they feel great and they're performing great, well, it's tough to argue with that. But if we're talking about most people, the overwhelming majority of the population, probably need to just take a full rest day. Really let your body rest. And don't fall into the trap of blowing off rest days and thinking that getting in an extra session, that's into the whole more is better mentality. I don't think that pays dividends in the long run for most people. So I would encourage you to take your rest day. You start blowing off those rest days, then you'll be like, man, we need a deload week. Well, of course you do. You never give yourself any rest. So take the rest day. And then, okay, so Thursday on Linchpin will be a rest day. Friday, I won't say what Friday's workout is yet, but it's a challenging one, no doubt about it. It's a fun, challenging one. And then Saturday on Linchpin, we've got another workout, and it's for time or not. So once a week on Linchpin, we put in a workout that it says for time, or then in parentheses it says or not. And I'm very vocal about encouraging people, like, I think there's tremendous value once a week in doing a workout and not running the clock. And just allow yourself to actually listen to your body and to move just however you feel like moving that day with no external pressure from this timepiece. Move a little slower, relax, talk to your friend while you're doing it. You're still doing good functional movement, your heart rate's still up, but you're not chasing that ticking demon on the wall, and so it works itself out to be a nice, once again, just kind of break from the intensity, which overall leads to your body feeling better, leads to your mind feeling better, and leads to a higher level of compliance and sustainability in a training program. So personally, I'm a huge fan of once a week giving athletes that option to not run the clock. And okay, so taking full rest days I think is critical. The working out for time or not, once a week, the or not piece I think is critical. Not touching a barbell every day is also critical. So if you're living under a barbell every day, if you lift heavy before every workout, I've got no doubt that you probably feel like you need a deload week. Again, it falls into the realm of, for most people, I don't think it's sustainable, and I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it yields the results that they hope that they will. Now, if you are an aspiring competitor, you are a dedicated lifter, these are different communities, it makes sense in that realm. But I'm talking about most people walking into most CrossFit gyms all around the world. Largely unnecessary. And then when it does come time to touch a barbell, respect the heavy days. Is something that we say a lot at Linchpin, meaning if it's a 7x1 back squat day, that's all it is that day. It's just a 7x1 back squat day. We're not trying to squeeze in something else to just beat down and fatigue the athlete for no reason. We're going to warm up. We're going to pour our heart and soul into lifting heavy. We're going to stretch and go home. And life's good. And in doing that, and maybe at the end of that, you feel like you wanted to do this little something at the end to just get a sweat on or whatnot. And again, for most people, I would resist that desire. I would resist it, because those days are as critical as every other day in this wave, in this cycle, to allow you to feel like you don't have to feel utterly drained every day. Because when those days do come up, like what's coming up tomorrow, the Tabata this, you're going to have the option to just light that rocket and just empty the tank and be laying on the floor covered in sweat, hyperventilating. And you're going to be able to do that based upon what we programmed for you the day before and the day before and the scheduled rest day, etc., etc. So again, that's also what I think is people who don't really know or understand the CrossFit methodology, people who don't really know or understand programming and how to look at it through the lens of what it truly is, just see these workouts, and if you don't know what you're looking at, it looks like a foreign language. It looks random. You know, that's the word that used to get thrown around a lot. CrossFit training, CrossFit programming is just random. I mean, I guess it is if it's done poorly, but you could say that to anything. Somebody just slapped together a running program and didn't know what they were doing. Well, it's just random nonsense. They slapped together a lifting program and they weren't talented at what they were doing. It's just random nonsense. Well put together, intelligently designed GPP, General Physical Preparedness, CrossFit training is anything but random. It is intelligently designed and laid out to keep the athlete moving forward, happy and healthy, and hitting all of these different domains appropriately and not overstressing or understressing any one. And it is a beautiful symphony, but it's also a lot of work and very challenging to put together. Fun at the same time, but so okay, I think we're just about wrapped up here. There's a couple other pieces that I just want to touch on for a second, and that is I think there is a skill that most people would benefit from developing, and it's almost like a lost art, and that is the art of just simply being in tune with your own body. I don't think enough athletes give themselves credit for that. Meaning, if you just, we all know if we didn't sleep that well last night, you have a good sense as to whether or not you've had a stressful week at work, a stressful week with the family. You know if the nutrition is kind of slid off the rails a little bit and you're just not feeling normal. Listen to yourself. Authorize yourself to put yourself in charge. And if the training that day calls for whatever it calls for, but you're just kind of not feeling it, it's okay for you, I don't want to say to mail it in, but to ratchet it back. Listen to your body. Respect your body. Nobody knows it better than you. Period. End of story. And make the best decision for yourself. I mean, so let's say, going back to this week of training, right, with rest day on Sunday, 800-meter repeats on Monday, 60% of the 1 rep max lifting EMOM on Tuesday, Wednesday's Tabata this. Well, let's say you've got a gym of 200 athletes, okay, and you've laid out this training, which seems to make wonderful sense for all the metrics that we talked about earlier. And it seems like you've laid it out really well that on Wednesday, when Tabata this rolls around, your clients are going to be able to just get after it. Well, if you've got 200 clients in your gym, and let's say 95% are living a normal, wonderful life, 5% have some drama going on, which is probably more than 5% really. Well, 5% of 200 is 10 people. 10% would be 20 people. So somewhere between 10 and 20 people are going to have something going on in their life. They didn't sleep well. They're stressed out. They've got a nagging hamstring, whatever it is. And even though you laid out the programming beautifully for those 20 people, they need to have the wherewithal and the ability to be in tune with themselves to say that, hey, even this week was laid out great, and I know that today is Tabata this, and the boss is expecting us to just light it on fire today. I didn't have a great couple of days at home. I didn't have a great couple of days of sleep, nutrition, or work, whatever it happens to be. I am going to just go moderately today. That personal decision, personal responsibility, and just listening to yourself is critical. And I don't think people give themselves enough credit or authority to do that. And I think that is one of the most important things that you can do. So, regardless of what's programmed on any particular day, I think the caveat should always be that you assess yourself honestly and you decide how today is going to go down. Okay? And that could be scaling the loading, ratcheting back the intensity, or whatever it happens to do. And don't feel any external societal or Instagram or social media or any other ridiculous pressure to not do that. Because doing it will allow you to continue training for a very long time and to have you feel good for a very long time. And that's the goal. Yeah. So I think that's that, right? And the proof's in the pudding that this stuff works. And we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of athletes around the world marching forward, happy and healthy. There's your empirical data right there. And I will end with a quote from a good friend, trusted colleague, Adrian Bosman. And that is, with regards to deloading or just taking a break or training intelligently, Boz says, take the time that you need before you need it. So once again, take the time that you need before you need it. Meaning, don't wait till you're broken. Don't wait till you're overtrained. Don't wait till you're beat up to say, geez, I just feel like a bundle of crap. I need a break. Don't get to that level of just putting yourself in the hole, because then it's tough to get out of that hole. Allow yourself these decompressions and these intelligent training days on the journey, and that will keep you moving, keep you feeling good, and life will be great. So, that's it. I warned you initially, right? I said this might have been a longer one, so I kind of had a feeling we might be going down that road. So that's it. I know I let the cat out of the bag about tomorrow's training, which I traditionally never do. So enjoy the clean and jerks today, and enjoy Tabata this tomorrow. And we will talk again later.